Hello, I'm Lucy Berk. I'm in the Pioneer Room, Escondido City Library's Archival and History Center. I want to show you how to research your historic home. The most important thing you need is your address and your assessor's parcel number. Don't try to go anyplace without your assessor's parcel number. It's on your county tax bill. Then you could get a notebook such as this to put all your research notes in. One document that is extremely helpful does take a side trip to the assessor recorder office, county office in San Marcos. What you want to get there is your residential building record, which will give you the date on which the house was assessed. So you can assume that it was built within the year or 6 months before that date. A very important document is the lot and block index. We have an assortment of them at the Pioneer Room. They will show you who owned the property in 4 or 5 year segments, and then they show on the same sheet if there was an improvement, such as a building would be considered an improvement, or a barn, and check the year in which it was built and give the estimated value of that. Another great tool are the Sanborn fire maps. There are 5 sets for Escondido. They start in the 1890s, and they go section by section through the city, showing individual blocks. Maps are often a great help, and one of the best ones that we have is the Alexander Plat Map book that was published around 1916. The Escondido page covers what the city looked like, the original city space, with all the blocks and streets and so on laid out just as it was at that time in the 1916 era. Then we have aerial photographs, which are a lot of fun to look at. They also show you the changes in the property over the years. And then the topographical maps put out by the government are very interesting to look at. And one thing they show that the other maps don't show is if there was a well on your property. Another interesting file is one on historic houses in Escondido that has copies of historic photos and articles that have been published about the houses in the neighborhood. We have 2 drawers of raw research on historic building in Escondido, done chronologically. Some years have not been done. Some years are very thick. And you pick the year or general area in which your house was built, and you may very well find some very interesting information. This is the Times Advocate Index, not totally complete, all the years of publication, but extremely helpful, especially for the first 30 years. Then there are other years that have been indexed. So this helps you to find articles in the Escondido Times, the Advocate, or the Times Advocate. The Pioneer Room has a full array of microfilms from the Escondido Times, the Advocate, and the Times Advocate. They are extremely helpful. In fact, it's easy to get addicted to reading microfilm, I can assure you. There's a rich array of local biographies in all of these binders. They are obituaries, articles from the newspaper on different individuals. Another very helpful tool is a record of the burials at Oak Hill Cemetery and also the San Marcos Cemetery. If you're trying to find the obituary of a former house owner, you can look in the cemetery records. As long as they were buried in either of these 2 cemeteries, it tells when they were interred. The United States Censuses are very, very helpful to tell you who was in a family, who was in a household. The collection at the Pioneer Room is printed in several notebooks for the whole county of San Diego, Escondido in particular. High school yearbooks are a real treasure, finding out about people who may have been involved with your house. I have been able to find the whole family that lived in my house for 45, 55 years. Escondido City Directories are one of the best sources available. They list the residents year by year. From 1923 on, the addresses are actually given, so it's a little frustrating when you're working earlier than that. We're in the climate controlled room of the Pioneer Room where especially delicate records are kept. One great source for researching are the water records. Over 100 years of water records in here. They're very delicate, but they're also very helpful in finding when water was hooked up on your property and who owned the property at that time. The Pioneer Room started with the collection of Francis Bevan Ryan, who was born in Escondido. All the photo collections are kept in archival boxes such as this, and they have a sheet describing the photograph and then the photograph itself. And there is an index to this collection. We've given you a survey of all of the wonderful resources that are in the Pioneer Room for you to research your historic house. There are also two other places to go. One is Escondido City Hall. They also have subdivision maps, and they have the books of historic resource surveys that have been taken at various times in the city. Another important stop is the county building in San Diego on Pacific Highway, where you will find the grantor-grantee indexes, which are very important to go through in order to find the chain of title for your house. Don't forget to put it all into a fine notebook so that you can show your friends and family all the wonderful things you found out about your historic house. Good luck.